What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to the channel. The Dallas Cowboys are always striving to get better and deliver those much-needed wins. We know the journey to the playoffs and beyond is a grind, but this team is doing what it can to stay competitive. Before we dive into today's exclusive story, do me a favor. Hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to stay updated on all things Cowboys. Now, let's talk about what's really been buzzing this week in the NFL world. There's an NFL analyst out there who thinks the Cowboys might be heading for a downhill slide, and not in the way you'd expect. That analyst is none other than Cowherd from FS1, and he's got some serious concerns about our Dallas Cowboys. According to Cowherd, this year could mark the beginning of a slow regression for the Cowboys. Now, Cowboys fans, I know you've heard it all before. Every season we're hyped up for a deep playoff run, but things don't go as planned. But what makes Cowherd's prediction different this time is that he's not talking about a playoff letdown. He believes the Cowboys will start losing steam long before the playoffs even start. I predicted that after 3 straight seasons of 12 wins, the Dallas Cowboys would start to decline this year. They're too dependent on Dak Prescott, and he's too expensive. We're going to start seeing a slow, steady regression this season. He went on to say that it won't be a catastrophic fall, more like a gradual decline, the kind where you just keep losing momentum little by little. And honestly, after that tough Week 5 loss, I know some of you might already be feeling this. So, what exactly is Cowherd worried about? He points to 3 key reasons why he believes the Cowboys are on a downward trajectory. 1. The Cowboys can't run the ball effectively, which puts more pressure on Dak Prescott. 2. The defense struggles to stop the run, meaning the Cowboys are losing the time of possession battle and giving their offense fewer opportunities. 3. In an offensive league, the Cowboys only have one true superstar weapon in CeeDee Lamb, and that's putting a lot of pressure on him to stay healthy and carry the load. Let's break this down, Cowboys Nation. Is Cowherd right? Is the team becoming too reliant on Dak and CeeDee to make plays, while everything else starts to slip? Let's start with the run game. We all know that this offense has been trying to figure out its identity without Tony Pollard, who left in free agency. Ezekiel Elliott was brought back, but let's be honest, he hasn't been the Zeke we once knew. As much as we love seeing him back in that star helmet, the run game just hasn't taken off this year. Rico Dowdle has had moments, but it's clear that the team is struggling to establish a consistent ground game. And when you can't run the ball, guess what? Defense is keying on Dak. They know he's going to throw, and that's where mistakes can happen. It's simple football math. No run game equals more pressure on the QB. Now, let's flip to the other side of the ball. The defense, particularly against the run, has also been a sore spot this season. Teams have been able to move the ball on the ground, eating up the clock and limiting the number of possessions our offense gets. When you're losing the time of possession battle, it's tough to stay competitive, especially in close games. And to make matters worse, Mike Zimmer was brought in as the new defensive coordinator, replacing Dan Quinn, who left to coach the Washington Commanders. Zimmer was supposed to shore up the defense, especially against the run, but so far, the results haven't been pretty. Dallas went from a top 10 defense to a bottom 10 defense, and that's a massive drop-off for a team that had Super Bowl aspirations. Then there's the Dak Prescott factor. We've been through this before. Dak is a guy, but at what cost? The man got paid big time, and rightfully so, but that salary comes with expectations. When the rest of the offense isn't clicking, it puts more pressure on Dak to make things happen. And let's face it, when you're throwing more because the run game isn't working, defenses get more chances to take advantage of any mistakes. Cowherd is concerned that Dak's workload is only going to increase as the season goes on, and if you've watched this team closely, you know that's a recipe for inconsistency. Dak can absolutely light it up when he's on, but when the pressure mounts and he's forced into tight situations, mistakes can happen. One thing that really stood out from Cowherd's analysis is his point about CeeDee Lamb being the Cowboys' only true offensive superstar. Look, we all love CeeDee. He's electric, he's a game changer, but he's just one guy. In a league where teams are stacking up talent at wide receiver and running back, The Cowboys have been somewhat limited in surrounding Dak with elite playmakers. Don't get me wrong. We've seen some flashes from Jake Ferguson at tight end, and Brandon Cooks has been solid, but we can't overlook the fact that Dallas didn't make any big moves to bring in more star power this offseason. Meanwhile, teams like the Eagles and 49ers are loaded with offensive talent, and that's a big reason why they're leading the NFC right now. So what can the Cowboys do to avoid the regression Cowherd is predicting? If they really want to be all in on this season like Jerry Jones claimed, then there are some moves that need to be made. Whether it's trading for a top-tier running back like Miles Sanders, or trying to snag a superstar wide receiver like Davante Adams before the trade deadline, the Cowboys need to add some firepower. The defense also needs help, especially after the injury to rookie Marshawn Kneyland, which has left the team thin at the edge rusher position. Names like Hasten Reddick have come up in trade rumors, and if Dallas wants to shore up their defense, they might have to make a big move before it's too late. The road doesn't get any easier from here, Cowboys fans. We've got the Detroit Lions coming to town this Sunday, and they're looking for revenge after we squeaked by them last season. Detroit has one of the best offensive lines in football, and their duo of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery at running back will be a tough test for our defense, which has struggled against the run. After that, it doesn't get any easier with games against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Houston Texans, both of whom are among the top 10 offenses in the league. The defense will be tested big time, and if they can't hold up, it's going to put even more pressure on Dak and the offense to keep up in shootouts. All right, let's talk about this Sunday's game against the Detroit Lions. This matchup was always going to be tough, especially with Detroit coming in hot, full of talent, and with a little extra motivation after last year's close loss to Dallas. The Lions haven't forgotten that 20-19 defeat, and they're coming to the AT&T Stadium hungry for revenge. But here's the kicker. This game just got a whole lot harder for the Cowboys. We're not just missing Micah Parsons, who has already been ruled out, but now we're also without another key piece of our defense, Eric Kendricks. That's right, Cowboys fans. We've got a huge hole in the middle of our defense, and it couldn't come at a worse time. For those who don't know, Eric Kendricks has been an absolute rock for our defense this season. Signed in the offseason to help shore up our linebacker group, Kendricks has made an immediate impact. In just 5 games, he's racked up 52 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 passes defended, a forced fumble, and an interception. That's the kind of production you love to see from your middle linebacker. But more than just the stats, it's Kendricks' leadership and communication that have really stood out. He's the guy making the calls on defense, making sure everyone is in the right place, especially with his experience working alongside defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer. His absence is going to leave a gaping hole, not just in terms of talent, but in terms of on-field leadership. He's been dealing with a calf and shoulder injury after last week's win over Pittsburgh, and unfortunately, he didn't practice all week. With Kendricks out, the Cowboys are going to have to rely heavily on Damone Clark. Clark is the most experienced linebacker we have left for this game, and while he's shown flashes, this is going to be a serious test for him. Can he step up and fill the massive void that Kendricks leaves behind? We're about to find out. It doesn't stop there, though. DeMarvion Overshown and rookie Maris Lufau are also expected to see a lot more action. Both these young guys are talented, no doubt, but they're going to be thrown into the fire against a Detroit team that's got one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery have been tearing it up in the backfield for the Lions, and without Kendricks, stopping that dynamic duo just got a whole lot tougher. The pressure is on our linebacking core to keep things under control, but the big question is, will they be able to communicate and adjust to Detroit's versatile offensive attack without their leader in the middle? Losing both Parsons and Kendricks is a huge blow, no question. Parsons is, of course, a game-changer who can disrupt any offense. But don't underestimate how much Eric Kendricks being out could impact our defense as well. We've seen throughout the season how Kendricks has been vital in stopping the run and dropping back in pass coverage. Without him, the Lions are likely licking their chops, thinking they can exploit that middle part of the field. Expect Detroit to attack us with a heavy dose of the run game. With Gibbs and Montgomery, they've got a lethal 1-2 punch that can control the clock and wear down defenses. If we can't stop the run early, it could turn into a long day for the Cowboys. And remember, Detroit's offensive line is one of the best in the league, so our defensive front will have its hands full. So, how do we still pull off a win despite these huge defensive losses? Step up in the run game. It all starts with the trenches. The Cowboys' defensive line needs to step up big time and limit the damage from Gibbs and Montgomery. If we can't slow down the run game, it's going to open up everything else for Detroit's offense. Damone Clark's leadership. Clark has to take control of the defense. He needs to communicate effectively and keep everyone on the same page. This is his chance to shine in a big moment, and if he can rally the defense, the Cowboys still have a shot at containing the Lions. Win the turnover battle. Without Parsons and Kendricks, we're going to need some big plays on defense. We've got to force turnovers. Whether it's a strip sack, an interception, or forcing fumbles, Dallas needs to create some momentum-shifting plays. Keep the offense rolling. Let's not forget, the best defense can sometimes be a great offense. Dak and company need to sustain drives and keep Detroit's offense off the field. That means finding success in the run game with Rico Dowdle and getting the ball to CeeDee Lamb early and often. As we look ahead to Sunday, don't underestimate how much motivation the Lions have coming into this game. Last year's loss still stings for them, and they're going to come into AT&T Stadium ready to prove they can hang with the Cowboys. Detroit is 3-2, and they've been one of the more consistent teams in the NFC. They're not just looking to win, they're looking to make a statement. Dallas, on the other hand, is trying to bounce back after a couple of tough home losses to the Saints and Ravens. This is a must-win game, especially with tougher opponents like the Eagles and Texans looming on the schedule. Protecting home field is crucial, and getting back on track starts with beating Detroit. All right, Cowboys Nation, it's time to hear from you. Do you agree with Colin Cowherd that the Cowboys are headed for a slow regression, or do you think we can turn things around and make a deep playoff run this season? What moves should Jerry Jones and the front office make to get this team back on track? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get the conversation started. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Cowboys content. We've got a long season ahead, and you won't want to miss any of the action. Thanks for watching, Cowboys Nation, and as always, go Cowboys.